They wrote the laws, they ran the states, they stood on Senate floors and governors' porches and made the decisions that shaped how millions of Americans lived, worked, voted, and died. In this video, we visit the graves of U.S. senators and governors. Robert F. Kennedy died June 6, 1968, age 42, buried at Arlington National Cemetery, Arlington, Virginia. The New York senator and former attorney general shot in the kitchen pantry of the Ambassador Hotel in Los Angeles, minutes after winning the California Democratic presidential primary, dying 26 hours later. His grave at Arlington, marked by a simple white cross near his brother John's eternal flame. Huey Long died September 10, 1935, age 42, buried at the Louisiana State Capitol grounds, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. The most powerful governor and senator in American history, the kingfish who built highways, bridges, and hospitals while running Louisiana as a virtual dictatorship, shot in the Capitol he had built by Dr. Carl Weiss. His bodyguards firing 61 bullets into Weiss, Long dying 2 days later, buried on the Capitol lawn beneath a bronze statue of himself. John McCain died August 25, 2018, age 81, buried at the United States Naval Academy Cemetery, Annapolis, Maryland. The Arizona senator and two-time presidential candidate who spent over 5 years as a prisoner of war in North Vietnam, refusing early release because it would have meant leaving before men who had been captured first. Buried beside his Naval Academy classmate Chuck Larson, not at Arlington with other senators. Ted Kennedy died August 25, 2009, age 77, buried at Arlington National Cemetery, Arlington, Virginia. The Massachusetts senator who served 47 years, the Lion of the Senate, whose legislative career was defined by healthcare, immigration, and civil rights, and whose personal life was defined by Chappaquiddick, buried near his brothers John and Robert at Arlington. Robert Byrd died June 28, 2010, age 92, buried at Columbia Gardens Cemetery, Arlington, Virginia. The longest-serving senator in American history at 51 years, representing West Virginia from 1959 to 2010. A former Ku Klux Klan member who spent the second half of his career calling his Klan involvement the greatest mistake of his life. The senator who named more buildings and roads after himself than any other in history. Strom Thurmond died June 26, 2003, age 100, buried at Willowbrook Cemetery, Edgefield, South Carolina. The longest-serving senator at the time of his retirement at 100, who ran for president in 1948 on a segregationist platform and filibustered the Civil Rights Act for 24 hours and 18 minutes, the longest single-person filibuster in history. His mixed-race daughter, Essie Mae Washington Williams, acknowledged publicly after his death. Daniel Patrick Moynihan died March 26, 2003, age 76, buried at Arlington National Cemetery, Arlington, Virginia. The New York senator who served 4 terms after being ambassador to India and the United Nations, the intellectual who wrote more books than any senator and whose 1965 report on the Black family sparked decades of controversy, the most brilliant mind to serve in the Senate in the second half of the 20th century. Barry Goldwater died May 29, 1998, age 89, buried at Paradise Memorial Gardens, Scottsdale, Arizona. The Arizona senator whose 1964 presidential campaign and declaration that extremism in defense of liberty is no vice launched the modern conservative movement, losing to Johnson in a landslide, but building the foundation that elected Reagan 16 years later, spending his final years advocating for gay rights and criticizing the religious right. Everett Dirksen died September 7, 1969, age 73, buried at Glendale Memorial Gardens, Pekin, Illinois. The Illinois Republican whose deep voice and theatrical delivery made him the most quotable senator of his era, providing the Republican votes that passed the Civil Rights Act of 1964 when Southern Democrats tried to block it. His famous line that, "A billion here, a billion there," and pretty soon you're talking about real money becoming the most repeated quote about government spending in history. George McGovern died October 21, 2012, age 90, buried at Rock Creek Cemetery, Washington, D.C. The South Dakota senator who won the 1972 Democratic presidential nomination on an anti-Vietnam War platform and lost 49 states to Richard Nixon, the most lopsided defeat in modern presidential history. A World War II bomber pilot who spent his political career opposing wars. Daniel Webster died October 24, 1852, age 70. Buried at Winslow Cemetery, Marshfield, Massachusetts. The Massachusetts senator widely considered the greatest orator in American history, whose reply to Hayne defending the Union in 1830 is still studied as the finest speech ever delivered on the Senate floor. Serving as Secretary of State twice, dying at his Marshfield estate, his final words reportedly, "I still live." Henry Clay died June 29, 1852, age 75, buried at Lexington Cemetery, Lexington, Kentucky. The great compromiser who served as senator, Speaker of the House, and Secretary of State, crafting the Missouri Compromise and the Compromise of 1850 that delayed the Civil War by a decade. Running for president 5 times and losing every time, the most successful politician who never won the presidency. John C. Calhoun died March 31, 1850, age 68. Buried at St. Philip's Episcopal Church Cemetery, Charleston, South Carolina. The South Carolina senator and former vice president who became the most articulate defender of slavery and states' rights in American history. His final Senate speech arguing that slavery was a positive good read by a colleague because Calhoun was too ill to deliver it himself. Dying weeks later, his ideology leading directly to the war that came 11 years after his death. Thaddeus Stevens died August 11, 1868, age 76. Buried at Schreiner Concord Cemetery, Lancaster, Pennsylvania, the most powerful member of the House during Reconstruction, the Pennsylvania representative who championed the 13th and 14th Amendments and led the impeachment of Andrew Johnson, choosing to be buried in a black cemetery because it was the only one in Lancaster that did not discriminate, his gravestone reading equality of man before his creator. Dianne Feinstein died September 29, 2023, age 90. Buried at San Francisco National Cemetery, Presidio of San Francisco, California, the California senator who served 31 years, becoming mayor of San Francisco after discovering Harvey Milk's body and announcing his assassination to the press. Authoring the federal assault weapons ban, her final years in office marked by questions about cognitive decline. Harry Reid died December 28, 2021, age 82. Buried at Searchlight Cemetery, Searchlight, Nevada. The Nevada senator who served as majority leader during the passage of the Affordable Care Act, growing up in a shack in Searchlight with no indoor plumbing, his father, a miner who died by suicide, the toughest political fighter in the Senate for 2 decades. Paul Wellstone died October 25, 2002, age 58, buried at Lakewood Cemetery, Minneapolis, Minnesota. The Minnesota senator killed in a plane crash 11 days before his re-election, his wife Sheila and daughter Marcia dying in the same crash, the most progressive senator in the chamber, and the only one to vote against both the Gulf War and the Iraq War resolution. His memorial service becoming a political controversy that may have cost Democrats the seat. George Wallace died September 13, 1998, age 79, buried at Greenwood Cemetery, Montgomery, Alabama. The Alabama governor who stood in the schoolhouse door at the University of Alabama to block integration in 1963, ran for president 4 times on a segregationist platform, shot and paralyzed during his 1972 campaign, and spending 26 years in a wheelchair. Apologizing to civil rights leaders in his final years, the man who symbolized resistance to integration, asking for forgiveness from the people he had tried to exclude. Ann Richards died September 13, 2006, age 73, buried at Texas State Cemetery, Austin, Texas. The Texas governor whose 1988 Democratic convention, keynote mocking George H.W. Bush with Poor George. He was born with a silver foot in his mouth, made her a national figure, governing Texas from 1991 to 1995 before losing to George W. Bush, her wit and white hair making her the most quotable governor of her era. Mario Cuomo died January 1, 2015, age 82, Buried at St. John's Cemetery, Queens, New York. The New York governor who served 3 terms and delivered the 1984 Democratic Convention keynote about the tale of 2 cities that many called the greatest political speech of the decade, declining to run for president multiple times, his son Andrew serving as governor and resigning in scandal. Earl Warren died July 9, 1974, age 83. Buried at Arlington National Cemetery, Arlington, Virginia. The California governor who became Chief Justice and led the Supreme Court through Brown versus Board of Education, Miranda versus Arizona, and the desegregation of American society, also chairing the Warren Commission investigating JFK's assassination. The governor who became the most consequential judge of the 20th century. Adlai Stevenson died July 14, 1965, age 65. Buried at Evergreen Cemetery, Bloomington, Illinois. The Illinois governor who lost the presidency to Eisenhower twice, in 1952 and 1956, his intellectual eloquence earning him the label egghead, and the devotion of liberal Democrats who believed he was too smart for the office he was running for. Collapsing on a London street from a heart attack while serving as UN ambassador. Nelson Rockefeller died January 26, 1979, age 70. Buried at the Rockefeller family estate, Pocantico Hills, New York. The New York governor who served 4 terms and served as Gerald Ford's vice president, his immense personal wealth making him the richest politician in American history, dying of a heart attack under circumstances that were initially misreported and later became tabloid fodder. The Rockefeller name synonymous with both public service and private fortune. Jesse Helms died July 4, 2008, age 86. Buried at Oakwood Cemetery, Raleigh, North Carolina. The North Carolina senator who served 5 terms as the most conservative member of the chamber, opposing the Civil Rights Act, the Martin Luther King holiday, AIDS funding, and the National Endowment for the Arts with equal fervor. The most polarizing senator of the late 20th century, beloved and despised with no middle ground. Hiram Johnson died August 6, 1945, age 78. Buried at Cypress Lawn Memorial Park, Colma, California. The California governor who broke the Southern Pacific Railroad's stranglehold on state politics, and later served 28 years in the Senate, one of the most powerful isolationists who voted against joining both the League of Nations and the United Nations, dying on the same day the atomic bomb was dropped on Hiroshima. Sam Ervin died April 23, 1985, age 88. Buried at Forest Hill Cemetery, Morganton, North Carolina. The North Carolina senator who chaired the Watergate Committee and became a folk hero for his folksy questioning style that dismantled Nixon's stonewalling, quoting the Bible and the Constitution with equal facility. The country lawyer who brought down a president. Daniel Inouye died December 17, 2012, age 88. Buried at the National Memorial Cemetery of the Pacific, Honolulu, Hawaii. The Hawaii senator who served 50 years, losing his right arm in World War II, combat in Italy earning the Medal of Honor, his last word reportedly aloha. The second longest serving senator in American history, behind Robert Byrd. Frank Church died April 7, 1984, age 59. Buried at Morris Hill Cemetery, Boise, Idaho. The Idaho senator who chaired the church committee that exposed CIA assassination plots, domestic surveillance, and FBI abuses of power in 1975, the investigation that created the modern intelligence oversight system, dying of pancreatic cancer at 59, the watchdog who revealed what the government was doing in the dark. Ella Grasso died February 5, 1981, age 61. Buried at St. Mary's Cemetery, Windsor Locks, Connecticut. The first woman elected governor in her own right without succeeding her husband, serving as Connecticut's governor from 1975 to 1980 and resigning weeks before her death from ovarian cancer. The woman who proved a woman could win a governorship without a husband's name on the ballot. Lurleen Wallace died May 7, 1968, age 41. Buried at Greenwood Cemetery, Montgomery, Alabama. The Alabama governor who ran as a surrogate for her husband George Wallace because Alabama law prevented consecutive terms, governing while battling cancer that her husband's advisors had reportedly known about before she ran. dying in office at 41, buried in the same cemetery as the husband who survived her by 30 years. James Eastland died February 19, 1986, age 81, buried at Forest Cemetery, Doddsville, Mississippi. The Mississippi senator who chaired the Judiciary Committee for 22 years and used the position to block civil rights legislation, burying over 120 civil rights bills in committee without a vote, the most effective obstructionist in Senate history. Prescott Bush died October 8, 1972, age 77, buried at Putnam Cemetery, Greenwich, Connecticut. The Connecticut senator who was the father of one president and grandfather of another, a moderate Republican whose positions on Planned Parenthood and civil rights would make him unrecognizable in the party his descendants led. Mark Hanna died February 15, 1904, age 66, buried at Lakeview Cemetery, Cleveland, Ohio. The Ohio senator who managed William McKinley's presidential campaigns and invented modern political fundraising, the first kingmaker in American politics, raising unprecedented sums from corporations. The man who built the template every campaign manager has followed since. J. William Fulbright died February 9, 1995, age 89, buried at Evergreen Cemetery, Fayetteville, Arkansas. The Arkansas senator who created the Fulbright Scholarship Program that has sent over 400,000 scholars to study abroad. Also the senator who signed the Southern Manifesto, opposing integration and filibustered civil rights legislation. The man whose name is on the most prestigious academic exchange in the world, and on the wrong side of the most important moral question of his era. Fritz Hollings died April 6, 2019, age 97, buried at a private location in Charleston, South Carolina. The South Carolina senator who served 38 years, the governor who lowered the Confederate flag to half-staff during the Kennedy assassination, and later evolved on civil rights, one of the last of the old Southern moderates who changed with the times. John Tower died April 5, 1991, age 65, buried at Sparkman Hillcrest Memorial Park, Dallas, Texas. The first Republican senator from Texas since Reconstruction, whose nomination as Secretary of Defense was rejected by the Senate over allegations of drinking and womanizing, the first cabinet nominee rejected in 30 years, killed in a commuter plane crash in Georgia 4 years later. Bob Graham died April 16, 2024, age 87, buried at a private location in Miami Lakes, Florida. The Florida governor and senator famous for his workdays, spending 1 day a month working regular jobs from trash collector to teacher to understand constituent lives, and for the detailed daily journals he kept throughout his career, filling thousands of spiral notebooks. Birch Bay died March 14, 2019, age 91, buried at Green Hill Cemetery, Bedford, Indiana. The Indiana senator who authored more constitutional amendments than any member of Congress since the Founding Fathers, writing the 25th Amendment on presidential succession and the 26th Amendment lowering the voting age to 18, also authoring Title IX, which transformed women's athletics. Robert La Follette died June 18, 1925, age 70, buried at Forest Hill Cemetery, Madison, Wisconsin. The Wisconsin governor and senator, known as Fighting Bob, the leader of the progressive movement who ran for president in 1924 on a third-party ticket, winning 17% of the popular vote. His sons and grandsons continuing in Wisconsin politics for decades. The La Follette name, synonymous with progressive reform. Robert Taft died July 31, 1953, age 63. Buried at Indian Hill Episcopal Presbyterian Cemetery, Indian Hill, Ohio. The Ohio senator known as Mr. Republican, who was the conservative conscience of the party for 2 decades, losing the presidential nomination 3 times to moderate Republicans. His father, William Howard Taft, the only person in history to serve as both president and Chief Justice. The senator whose memorial on Capitol Hill is one of only 4 honoring senators. Philip Hart died December 26, 1976, age 64, buried at St. Joseph Cemetery, Mackinac Island, Michigan. The Michigan senator known as the conscience of the Senate for his unwavering commitment to civil rights, antitrust enforcement, and consumer protection, the Hart Senate office building named after him. Dying of cancer while still in office, one of the few senators whose colleagues unanimously agreed deserved the building that bears his name. Lawton Chiles died December 12, 1998, age 68. Buried at Roselawn Cemetery, Tallahassee, Florida. The Florida governor and senator, known as Walkin' Lawton, for his 1970 campaign walking the entire length of the state, 1,003 miles in 91 days, to meet voters. Dying in the governor's mansion weeks before leaving office, the walker who finished the race. Hugh Carey died August 7, 2011, age 92. Buried at Holyrood Cemetery, Westbury, New York. The New York governor who rescued New York City from bankruptcy in 1975 when the federal government refused to help. His famous response to Gerald Ford's refusal, producing the Daily News headline, "Ford to City. Drop dead." The governor who saved a city. Lester Maddox died June 25, 2003, age 87. Buried at Arlington Memorial Park, Sandy Springs, Georgia. The Georgia governor who became famous for chasing black customers out of his fried chicken restaurant with an axe handle in 1964, elected governor 2 years later, his legacy one of the most troubling reminders that voters sometimes choose the worst version of themselves.